Welcome, everyone, to the Spiritual Freedom Support Call number 26. You know, we've been doing this, let's see, if it's 26, it's half a year officially.
Wow.
So 6 months. I think it's really cool. How's everyone doing this week? Good?
Really good.
Good. I had a...
Doing pretty good.
That's good. You still sound so tired.
Yeah.
It's okay.
I think it's my voice because I've been fighting, not losing it. So
I was fighting. I don't know about fighting something. I was just feeling really run down today.
I tried to tell him to cancel the call, but he wouldn't
I'm
do
really
it.
stubborn. I'm extremely stubborn. I don't like to cancel things. But I was very run down today. I got this really awesome book that I was reading all afternoon. Like pretty much all. Today was a totally unproductive day because I got this fictional book.
Oh, you didn't turn the clock off, did you?
Oops. Oh well. Oopsies. I'm not going to do it now. Too much trouble. Anyway, but I got this book today, and so it's been very unproductive today because I've been reading it all day.
What book is it?
It's science fiction. It's called "We Are Legion, We Are Bob."
Oh. Okay.
Interesting.
It's about a guy who basically signs a contract to be cryogenically frozen after he dies, and literally not maybe
that's cool.
6 hours after he signs this contract, he gets hit by a car
And dies.
And
Wow.
then he wakes up 117 years later as basically an AI program. His consciousness was uploaded into a program, and he lives as a computer program and has to do basically has to save the world because the world goes in a nuclear war basically.
Oh, God.
And the United States has turned into this theocratic society and all this stuff. Anyway, but welcome whoever just joined. Welcome. Anyway, so but it's a really good book though. So, but I had a totally non-productive day today.
Well, that's healthy, you know.
It is, I know, but I never do. I've been telling myself for a week I need to take time.
Brandon, that was so not productive today.
Huh?
That was so not productive today.
It was.
God. I don't know what you think you were
You
doing.
needed it.
It was. I hate
You needed to be
wasting
up
time.
and doing something. God.
I've been nonstop. Ask Christina. I've been nonstop.
I tell him to take breaks. He won't take breaks. He won't listen. I said, one day you're going to burn out.
I know.
But
anyway.
She
So
worries.
I do worry.
I had to basically do that last weekend or Saturday.
Yeah.
And did I go anywhere Sunday? I'm sure I don't think I went anywhere Sunday. I had to pretty much do that to myself last weekend after months of just running around and doing stuff.
Right. All right. So what questions do we have today? Did everyone see my post I made today about past lives and all
I haven't got a
sorts of
chance to
exciting
read it.
things?
I really want to read
I
it.
saw it.
It was fun.
Yeah.
I had a lot of fun writing it. Sorry?
I saw it in my email, but I haven't had a chance to read it either.
What, the Akashic Records?
No, that was last week. No, the past lives.
Just came out today.
Just came out
I am
today.
so behind. Oh my
I
God.
know.
I'm going to have
Shame on
a
you.
marathon. I'm going to have one day that I put aside
Yeah.
for a marathon read of everything.
That's all right. Doesn't matter. But yeah, I had a good. I enjoyed writing it. I've been trying to, alternate law of attraction posts and psychic posts and whatnot.
They're really, really good.
I've been trying to alternate that so it's all balanced and with my new focus on
This
things.
is a really, really good
The
post.
titles sound really intriguing. I'm really anxious to read them.
Well, I try to. It's sort of marketing. Sort of my job. So yeah, but
I'm kind of eating dinner while you're talking
I
because
don't
it's
care.
5:30 here.
I don't care. And then
I've got a TV tray set up next
that's
to me.
that's perfectly fine. And then this weekend, well, Justin, you don't know this. I think we're gonna do on starseeds. I got a I got a book because I need to do research because I honestly don't. I know about the starseeds a bit, but I haven't really done a ton of research. So I bought this book yesterday, and that's gonna be my homework before the podcast. Is kind of reading through it and seeing what I can find. Starseeds. Ever hear of them?
I have, and I don't remember what they are.
Vanessa Lamort.
I'm sorry.
Vanessa Lamort. Christine introduced me to her.
Oh, does she talk about starseeds?
The light language, and she has a YouTube where she talks about how it's a galaxy of stars, Perseids.
Right.
Yeah, and they somehow a lot of people are getting pregnant, and they're getting hybrid star seeds from that galaxy.
That one is a little far-fetched for me, no offense. That one I
Well,
can't
no, I mean, it sounded
quite-
like that to me too, but
I just can't quite get there. I'm
and
sorry.
she did a whole
I'm a cynic, you know that.
That was
hybrid.
I just
You
can't
know, that was
really
like
go
real
there.
obvious, you
that
know,
was hilarious.
that they're hybrid. It's going to be more sensitive
do it.
in a different way.
The
That's
stars,
just
right.
I'm just saying what you said.
Yeah,
No,
that's fine.
man, Brandon, that was hilarious. I just
Justin, I can't hear you.
Yeah, you're
Oh.
far away.
Brandon, I said, Brandon, that was absolutely hilarious. I just can't quite get there. I was like, just
I
can't
think
do it.
She was really serious about it. I mean,
I-
it's on YouTube. It's a whole thing on
I
it.
am a confirmed cynic, I admit it. And even though, yes, I teach the law of attraction, I am such a cynic.
Yes.
I'm
he is.
sorry, but I am a cynic. I can't,
How can you be a cynic and then teach what you teach?
because
I
I've
beauty of
had,
it.
don't know that
that's
word.
the beauty. Because
I'm
I've
kind of a
had,
cynic too.
are you? I think
It's
it's a
just-
good thing.
It's just that
Go
my
ahead.
thing is, if someone can use a technique, it doesn't really matter whether I can use it or someone can prove it. If someone can really use something, by all means use it.
Right.
But if you can't, my thing is, if you can't make something work, then it's no good to you whether it works or
Right.
not. That's just my thing. Can you use it?
Well, and what she's saying, I mean, she's not talking about something we can use. She's talking about
Right.
a different evolution, more evolution patterns that are going.
To answer your question, I mean, how can I teach the law of attraction and be a cynic? I'll tell you, when I started the law of attraction, I did not believe it. I thought this is way, out there. This is stupid. There's no way, what
Well,
you
some
think.
cynicism is healthy.
Hold on.
Yeah, let me
Listen.
finish.
Okay, sorry.
Oops, sorry. I had to adjust. But I thought, there's just no way, but through lots of experimentation, through lots of personal research, and I don't take anyone on their word, right, Christine?
It drives me nuts.
So you're sort of a spiritual scientist.
That's exactly how I consider myself.
Actually, yeah, he is.
I really respect people like Aleister Crowley, the ceremonial magicians, because they considered magic a science, and he would keep a grimoire basically of all his experiments and test. Okay, did it matter if the moon was new or full or waxing or waning or gibbous or crescent? Or did it matter if Saturn was in Capricorn or, Mars was in Aries, or did any of that matter or not? And, he would journal all that down in a lot of detail and really try to get scientific about it. And that's how I am, not to the extent of like astrological stuff, but to the extent of, well, let me try this person's ideas. Did it work? Yes or no? Maybe partially. Let's see why part of it worked and why part of it didn't. So I consider myself as almost a scientist of this stuff because, look, I can't trust people who just go out there and give all these theories without testing it, and just people who just believe everything without testing it.
No, I get it.
No, we're not saying, yeah.
I'm not saying you do that, but that's my pet peeve.
No, but I mean, I get it.
That's my pet peeve in spiritual circles is people who just believe everything. Well, this person says this and this person, and so it must be true, and just just parrots everything. I don't like parrots.
What I'm wondering is,
go ahead.
Oh, go on, Justin.
Go ahead, Justin.
Well, my thing with that is, if because to me it's an art and a science.
Yes, it is an art and a science.
Because somebody just might be able to take something and make it work, and just doesn't work. They have just different connection to the universe or different methodology that works for them. So I have a thing of if it doesn't work for you, then it doesn't really matter. You can't use it.
Right.
And so that's why I do like Brandon, because he just doesn't work. For me, I know we had different methodologies to a certain degree when I started training with him.
Right.
And I was practicing his, what he was doing. So I've gotten to see him do it. Yep. But I always knew that my method would work for me when I needed it to.
Yep.
So it didn't really matter. I was like, okay, I'll just learn some more stuff. I mean,
right, sure.
Justin, let me ask you something.
Yeah.
When you're learning from other people, like Justin, like Brandon,
I learn from myself every day. Appreciate it. Go ahead.
Things that might work for him, what if they don't work for you?
What I do is empty my cup. And that means I just forget everything. I don't forget everything I know, but I use the only way to get better is to practice what the guy is teaching. Mm-hmm. And you might not. Now, one thing I've noticed is I'll use my techniques and blend it if I need to do something. But if I'm practicing, I'm going to use what he's talking about so I can see how it works. Right. And then he might say something that I might several months later come back and use with something of mine, like with NLP. I use that to get back to my crossroads. Yeah, which is my the LBRP. So it's like you take it. You got to practice this technique. There's no need on doing anything with anybody else if you're not going to train the techniques. So what I do is work with what I can work with and see how whatever someone teaches me can blend with mine and make mine better. Mm-hmm. Right. I don't just abandon my techniques and do theirs. You can't do that and make headway unless I'm just sheerly practicing. Now, if it's just pure practice, I'll do it to see how it works out. But if you're really having to get something to work, you can't use somebody else's stuff full on before you really know it. Mm-hmm. You've got to use it with your. So what you do is I take it and trickle it into mine and make mine as strong as I go. Mm-hmm. And then suddenly you're just sort of blending both techniques.
What I did, when I first started, I was reading all these authors. I read Joseph Murphy. I read author John Kehoe, Power of the Subconscious Mind, or Mind Power to the 21st Century. That's what the name of it is. I hope I got the author's name right. I think I did. Anyway, and then I read
that was Kehoe.
Richard Dotz. I read Abraham. I read, I don't even know who else. I took that Hypnosis and the Law of Attraction course with Joe Tabanella. I read Robert Fritz. I read Genevieve Davis, and I don't even know who else.
Did you do any Course of Miracles?
I used to, yes, but I don't resonate with it. Mm-hmm. But but I read all these resources, and at first I would try each one, and kind of let's do it their way, see how it works, and then go from there. And then eventually I saw themes and patterns developing. Okay, well, these people say, this works like, focusing on it every day, for example, or visualizing it or whatnot. And then these, and then I would compare and contrast. Okay, well, these people say this, but there's a contradiction because these other people say that. So what's the right way? Because obviously, logically speaking, like, for instance, one big difference in the law of attraction teachings is that some people will say you have to focus on it every day or it won't happen. And other people say focus on it once, forget about it, and it'll happen. and don't think about it more than that, or it won't. Okay, what's true? Obviously, those are contradictory. Obviously, those both can't be true, right? Which is why it drives me nuts when people say truth is relative. I don't believe that. I mean, people might have different levels of truth, but truth is absolute in, its own way. But you can't have both things being true. They can be true maybe in different ways. So I would try to, resolve those contradictions and test them out and see which one is really right, or, how do they fit together. And then, I started developing my own techniques, and it just kind of went from there, because I started to see the commonalities between all the different methods and had tested it out for myself, got results. I mean, I was just thinking recently, now it's to the point where, I can focus on something for a little bit one evening, and the next day I get results, and it's, oh, well, yeah, that happened.
Well, spirituality is not a hard science, like where you put it in test tubes, but
it can be helpful to treat it a little bit that way.
Yeah, because it can be, the technique should be there. Right. Where you're running into it is context. So, for example, if I'm working with a group of people on a job, I've got more people trying to do roughly the same thing I'm doing. So it acts a little different than if I'm just sort of by myself doing my thing. But the technique doesn't really change.
Right.
Just the feel of it, and maybe some of your adaptions might change, but the actual science of it does not.
Right.
So you're talking about spirituality having specific rules.
Yes.
There are rules to the energy, yeah. There are energetic rules.
There totally are.
I'll say energy in, energy out. It's going to be the same thing no matter what.
There are rules.
Right.
Yep.
But like what you were saying about, was it that some people say that you do your focusing once a day and some twice a day? Was that it?
No, some people will say you have to think about it every day as much as you can.
Oh,
Others will say think about it literally once, period. Not once a day, once, period. And then you forget about it.
But could it work both ways for different people?
It could.
But, well, no. It depends. No, just wait. Just let me. No, in general. Because, look, okay. If it's a law, okay.
I'm not trying to argue.
No, I'm not either. I'm just trying to answer in a useful way, because when people say it depends, I want to be like, okay, how does it depend?
Yeah, I don't like that answer either.
Yeah. So, okay, look. If the law of attraction is a law, if it really is universal principles, then it needs to have a predictable, reliable way of working.
Right.
Right? And that's not to say there aren't, other aspects like, we've talked about deities and stuff like that can interfere. But in general, if it's a law, it's a law. Mm-hmm. The law of gravity doesn't depend on anything. It just is. Now, it might act different ways. You might say, well, why can an airplane get off the ground, but if I jump really high, I can't do it. Well, it's just because you don't understand it. It's not because it applies differently, right? So, no, it's the matter of those different. And again, this is usually a totally new idea for the people I introduce it to. The different levels of goals. A current level goal, you think about once, you forget about it, and it happens. And I've had that happen.
Right.
So that's a current level goal. A next level goal, you have to continuously go after it. That is the difference, and that is what I realized. They both are true, but in different contexts.
Yeah, I understand.
There's this philosophical principle called the principle of non-contradiction. Sorry to bring in metaphysics, like literal philosophical metaphysics, but there's this. I was a philosophy major. There's this philosophical principle called the principle of non-contradiction, and it says two things cannot be. Somebody cannot be, basically two different things in the same way at the same time. So you cannot have something both black and white in the same way in the same location at the same time. Maybe in two locations, but they can't be two different qualities, two different opposing qualities in the same place at the same time in the same way. So it can't be true both that you only focus on it once and forget about it, and that you need to focus on it every day. That can't be true in the same way and at the same time and in the same context. That can't be true. So there has to be context. Or else
Can I ask you something?
please, yeah.
When you listen, and again, I'm not on any side, or
Right.
arguing. This is something more like a debate.
Right. Yeah, I know.
And it is also just wanting to get answers from you.
Right.
That I can understand.
Sure.
Law of attraction. Let's say you're listening to a video, one of their seminars, and you get someone on the hot seat, and they're, saying that, they've been really positive and doing the whole Abraham thing,
Right.
and that whole
Right,
all those
right.
parameters, and that they're manifesting all these great things. Some
Sure.
people aren't, a lot of people aren't, but some
Sure,
do
Sure.
say that. So how does that fit in with, because you're not really practicing that kind of law of attraction
No.
at all.
No.
So how does that, they're apparent. Unless they're delusional or they're whatever, I just go ahead and believe them if they say I'm manifesting a lot. But could that be because they're manifesting in a different way and they think it's because of what they're doing with all this positivity? Or, in other words, how is that person any less, successful at the spirituality that he's practicing than you are at what you're manifesting?
Well, let me say this again, back to science.
Does that make sense?
It does. Back to science. Okay, so in science, the theory is not primary. The theory has to support the data. So in everything I do, if I come across something that doesn't support the theory has to be scrapped. So here's what I'm saying. And I'm going to get around to your answer, but
No, that's okay.
in a long way. So just be patient a second.
That's all right.
I have been on the Abraham forums, and to them, the theory is primary. So if you say, I've been feeling good, and I've heard so many people say this, I've been feeling good for so many months or so many years, and nothing's happened, they will make the theory fit the data. So,
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like a scientist who, this data doesn't fit. Well, we're going to make it fit. We're going to skew the data so it fits the
Are you
theory.
talking about the people that are saying they are manifesting?
No.
They're-
I'm talking
No.
about, okay, someone will post on the Abraham forum and say, look, I've been trying to feel good for months and nothing's happened. And the moderators will come in and say, well, it must be because you're doing it because you want your desire, not because you're just doing it to feel good. It must be because this. They find some reason that it fits their theory.
Right.
I approach it from a different way. Justin, you've been with me since last March. How many times have I scrapped the theory and revised, not scrapped it totally, but revised it and said,
Several.
okay, I said this, but let's add this extra.
You revised a lot of things.
I've revised a lot of things.
Yep.
Because, so what started with in basically December of 2015, I started to realize the importance of surrender. It started with surrender. My initial 3-step process was all around surrender.
Right.
Surrender, making peace with what is, surrendering to everything.
That's when I met you. Yeah.
Right. That was the initial thing. And that's still very important. But then I added a lot of other elements. Right. And then it was all about non-attachment, all that kind of stuff. But then we added a lot of other stuff. So for me, how it works is if I do something, if the data of my experience doesn't fit my theory, the theory has to get revised. That's science. Right?
Right.
So
if you're not manifesting,
if you're following everything as it should be,
let's say you're doing that 3-step, okay?
Right.
Let's say it wasn't really working consistently.
Right.
Then instead of saying, then I must not be doing this, or I must not.
And you have to be honest. Sometimes you're not doing it right. Sometimes you're not doing it right, and you have to look at that. But if you're really, really doing everything correctly, then you have to say, maybe the theory's wrong. Maybe there's something not taken into account.
But you also can't blame it on.
Right.
You have to really know that you're not doing it
exactly,
right.
and that takes a lot of self.
You have to what? Know that you're not what?
Doing it wrong yourself. Because you could just blame it on the theory if you don't try hard enough, or if you don't have the honesty to be like, okay, I'm not doing something right.
Or if you're not consistent. Yeah.
Right.
Exactly.
So you have to really have that self-awareness, which is very rare.
And it's hard. It's hard to do.
So the hardcore law of attraction people, instead of
they fit the theory
revising the person saying I'm not manifesting, and they're you're not doing this, you're not doing that.
You're not doing it right.
So now how does it come back to what I had asked you?
Yeah, that's what I'm going to do now.
Okay.
So here's the thing. So what I find a lot of people do is they will have a time of struggle. They will have a time of struggling with the resistance and trying to, I'm going to use Abraham terminology, quote unquote, be in the vortex and most, more or less failing at it. And then they get a breakthrough. And then they say, oh, now I can do it. Now I'm, in the vortex or whatever it is. And now I'm happy and now everything is good. And now it feels easy to me. Oh, look, now it's there. Now it happened. Now, if they look at that through an Abraham lens, they say, before I was struggling with it and I had resistance and it didn't happen. But then once I, entered the vortex and was able to let go and, was able to do all the stuff Abraham said, then it happened. Once I was just positive all the time, then it happened. But here's the step they miss, because other people will try that. Other people will say,
I don't see how you can be positive all the time.
Well, other people.
That's another subject.
Other people will try this. I've done that. I've honestly done that. It doesn't work. Okay, well, you must have done it wrong. So what they miss is the process of struggling with it is the process of changing your subconscious structures so that being positive is easy. You can't just straight out of the gate be positive and everything come. It's not possible. You'll fake it. Mm-hmm. And we all know this because we've all experienced it, right?
So then what are these people that come on that come up to talk to Abraham? What's their thing? Are they
what they probably did was, no, I believe they have the results they are saying they have. I'm taking them for their word. What I'm saying is you have the data, but let's see what the data really is. I'm taking them for their word. What I find a lot, because you don't have the full story with them.
Right.
I'm guessing that if you were to sit down and interview them, okay, tell me how you really got here.
That would be very interesting, actually.
I know. A lot of them are going to say, I struggled with it for a long time, and then I had this breakthrough. And then once I was just able to be positive, it all worked out. Now, they're not attributing it to the journey. They're attributing it to the end, I was just positive and it all worked out. That's all they're looking at. They're not looking at the journey of struggling with it, of, pushing against that resistance, of, working through those subconscious structures and all that kind of stuff.
But didn't they have to have worked through them to get to?
Yes, and they did. They just don't put any importance to. They think that was all wasted time, basically.
And not only that, they're not going to use as much of the mindfulness, which is simply not focusing on it and allowing it to just the energy to just sort of flow through you, and then that cleans up your subconscious structure.
I'll see this all the time. Like, I'm on the Law of Attraction subreddit, like I've always said, and I always see someone will post this really awesome, story, and they'll say, all I had to do was think about it and let it go, and it just happened. And then I'm like, that's great, but you're sort of giving false hope to these other people who are saying, if I do the same thing will happen. But it doesn't, because I've seen tons of stories that say, I did that and didn't work. I've told the story of...
why didn't it?
I'm going to tell that right now with my own story.
Yep.
Okay.
I told the story before of back in 2015 when I was, really getting the law of attraction and learning about all this stuff. And I wanted to go on our anniversary. I wanted to go for a trip for our anniversary. What was it at the time? 4-year anniversary. And so I said, well, I'm going to do what Abraham says. I'm going to think of what I want, feel good about it for what their thing is 68 seconds. And if I do it for 68 seconds, that should generate the momentum that I can just drop it and it'll happen if I feel good about it. So I did that. I felt good about it for 68 seconds. I literally, I think, set a timer. I don't know what I did. And I dropped it. Anytime it came up, I just felt good about it. Well, I did all that. I felt good about it for 68 seconds. It's done. Guess what? Nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Why? I didn't have any resistance.
Mm-hmm.
That's just it. You didn't have any resistance.
At least none that came to the surface because I didn't really focus on it. I didn't go there.
You mean you weren't really you were doing 68 seconds, but you weren't really focusing.
No, I did 68 seconds once and let it go.
Yeah.
Just once, period. And that's what they say you should be able to do.
Oh, I thought you said you were doing it every day.
No.
Just once.
Just once. I did 68 seconds once, let it go, waited a few weeks. Why is it happening?
I've never seen that one.
Oh, for some reason I thought Abraham said to do it.
They say if you do it once for 68 seconds, that should generate the momentum to manifest whatever you want. If you really purely focus on it for 68 seconds. They say that's like, I don't know, 10,000 or however many hours of physical action it's equivalent to or something. So I did that and it didn't work. So then last year, I said, I've come a lot further with the law of attraction since then. I'm going to try this again. I'm going to do it my way. So I focused on it every day. I felt good about it every day. I let go of resistance every day. And within a week, someone paid for it. It was done.
Go ahead.
What's that?
Now describe, because I was going to just wait for you to finish, then I'll ask to prompt you a little bit.
Go ahead. Describe.
I was going to have you describe, because since I've never seen the plus to just one thing.
Right.
You're supposed to think about it once and let it go.
Yes. Right. That's the ideal.
How do you get that? Okay.
Right. Yeah, just 68 seconds. They say 68 seconds of focus will do enough to make it manifest.
That's
and then you let it go.
Well, most people.
Here's what they say, because they say, I'm sorry, they say literally this. If you think about it for 68 seconds and let it go, and then just feel good about totally unrelated subjects. Like if you feel good about your goal for 68 seconds and then you go and always just think about puppies and kittens and bunnies and whatever, and that's it, and you don't think about your goal anymore, they say it'll happen. But I've tested it, it doesn't. And I've known many other people who have tested it and it doesn't.
That's hard to make that.
Yeah.
I mean, like, you have to generate so much force. Or either you...
Right.
Man, I don't know about that.
Right. And it doesn't work.
I mean, like, maybe with current level goals, you could do it.
Well, has
but not
a lot of
vacation.
times the comments, on YouTube after, the Abraham videos, how they have the comments.
Right.
And you see tons of them. Yeah. And a lot of people seem to be pretty sophisticated spiritually.
Right.
And they're still in the puppy kitten thing.
Yeah,
and I have seen some people that have said, the 68 second thing worked for them.
Right.
But other things could have been.
It was a current level goal. I'm sorry, it was a current level. It was a current level goal. That's all there is to it.
You had to have an avenue for it to happen. So it can look big, but if you already had like a door waiting for this thing to happen, then all you have to do is open it, and it's like it's like a flood ready, and then all you have to open the door, and suddenly there's a deluge of water. I mean,
look, like now I have the confidence. I know if I focus on money for a bit, it doesn't really matter the time. It doesn't have to be 68 seconds, but if I focus on a couple minutes, and then it's going to happen. I know it's going to happen because that's a current level goal to me. Depending on the amount, obviously, I know I can get money within a couple of days if I just do that. That's a current level goal, and that's pretty simple.
Even in a current level goal, is there, the element, it seems for you, the part where the resistance comes up,
right?
You're able to deal with that, really easily.
Generally, yeah.
And what is your actual, what is your procedure? What do you do the same thing all the time to debug the?
Yeah, you know my procedure. You've taken my classes.
Yeah, but just say it again.
Well, let me finish out this subject and we'll go there.
Okay.
How about that? I don't want to jump back and forth, but yeah, so that's going back to your question about these people who are on stage and say all these positive things have happened. I'm sorry, those were current level goals, or they were next level goals, and they went through the debugging steps, the struggle and all that kind of stuff, changing the subconscious structures, but they didn't really attribute it to any of that until they had the breakthrough and they started being positive, because now it was current level, right? When it feels easy. So, because what happens is you have a next level goal and then you struggle with it. Eventually it feels easy because it becomes a current level goal. And then because it feels easy and you get it, you're like, if everything is just easy, then I should be able to get it right away. So that we try to make everything easy, but it's not there yet because we're not to that point. We haven't developed the subconscious structures. So you're just doing it the wrong way. And that's where the problem comes in. That's where the error enters. Right? So that's what I've noticed the most. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Right. So like I said, with my example, I tried it the first way. I tried it with just thinking about it once and letting it go, and it didn't work. And I tried it my way, and it worked very well, very quickly. So you take all into account. Like I said, it's scientific. You have to make sure the data fits the theory. If it doesn't fit the theory is useless, or at least it's not up to date. Mm-hmm. Right? And I'm sure my theory will update itself over time. I mean, that's okay. Real quick. This is related, sort of, but I had someone ask me today. There's this lady that.
Is this what I think it is?
Yeah.
So you were productive today.
Sort of, not really.
Oh my God.
There's this lady that I used to talk to all the time who used to switch religions like every couple of weeks.
He's known her for years. He's known her since.
And what? 2007
maybe.
For a long time. And she started out like Catholic. I think she converted to Catholicism, and then she turned like all these other different religions, which I'm not going to judge because I've been there, and I
Transformer.
But it was like take what I have done and shrink it down 100-fold, and you have her. Like every few days, every few weeks.
It was different.
It's
she
different.
was
trying to find yourself.
Man. And then she has the gall to message me today, not even say hi. Now I haven't talked to her for over a year.
And he was blocked from. She
blocked me for a while
last year. So.
And then she hasn't. And then she said, not even hi. She says, "Why do you change religion so much?" Because she's like, last time I talked to you, you were Muslim. Now you're pagan. I'm like, where do you get off asking me this?
Mm-hmm.
I said, because she said, well, why do you change it so much? I said, well, you used to do the same thing. Why did you? Because I didn't know what the truth was. I said, exactly. I said, I've been pagan for quite a while now. I'm very happy with it, And then she tries to convert me to Catholicism, and then I blocked her because I'm not. I said, look, either you're going to respect me or you're going to leave me alone. She's like, well, I'm respecting you by trying to convert you because I want you to be in heaven. And I'm like, no.
I mean, know one thing. If you keep going back and forth to the religion, if it's supposed to do that, it's going to be like, wait a minute. St. Peter's be like, okay, wait a minute. You have not been faithful to our team.
Right, yeah. So, anyway, my point was, for me, I've that's Fran. I don't know if it's her fan or what. Or her heater.
She's outside.
What? Anyway, you said it's Fran.
Oh, you always have a periodic like a loud hissing noise in the background.
Really?
Yes.
Because everything's very quiet in here.
No, it's always
maybe it was the computer.
Every time you're connected, it does it. It's just.
I'm sorry.
No, it's been going on for months, so
it's entertaining.
Anything? See right there.
It's right there.
Right there.
Really?
Yeah, it's like sound effects. It's great.
It sounds like a vacuum cleaner's going off.
Oh dear, it's so quiet. It must have to do with the connection with my
No, it sounds like something real, like a physical thing on your side. I don't know.
I swear to God, I am sitting so quietly, and I'm not moving, and there's nothing.
No, it's not you. It sounds like a mechanical thing. Anyway.
Probably my headphones.
So anyway, but for me, I've changed religions because, like I said, if the data doesn't fit the theory, you change the theory. You update the theory. And a lot of people have asked me the same question before. Why don't you just stick with something? I say, why should I? I got new data, and the data didn't fit, and so I had to change the theory.
You never said that to people.
I know.
That's a really good argument.
That is a really good argument.
I got new data.
Okay, well, it just didn't make sense anymore, so I had to change the hypothesis.
But when you get that data, the new data, are you assuming that data is going to fit everybody?
Well, again, I don't look.
Actually, you don't care. You don't really need to care.
I mean, it doesn't matter to me. But here's the thing. I'm different from many people on this. Many people believe in relative truth. I don't believe in. I believe in levels of truth. I don't believe in relative truth. Relative truth is we did this in philosophy. It's the easiest philosophical argument to debunk. The easiest in the world. You can debunk relative truth claims in 2 milliseconds. Mm-hmm. So I do not believe in relative truth. If it's truth, it's truth. But that doesn't mean that truth can't be symbolized in different ways. You can have filtered truth. I believe absolute, way up there, ultimate truth is oneness. So if it's oneness, I don't believe someone who says it's not oneness, I believe that's wrong. And I'm not going to say, you know what I mean? That's just, and I know that's sort of a little brazen, but that's just, you can't have relative truth. But I also believe in like the gods and things like that. That's a lower level of truth. That's more on our level, right? Mm-hmm. And that, if you would choose to be a polytheist or a monotheist or, I'm sort of a mix of a polytheist and a panentheist. And that, to me, is the most, direct reflection of truth. But that's a lower level of truth. I'm not going to say someone's wrong for not being, let's say, a polytheist or a panentheist or something. That's just a different reflection of truth. But ultimate truth is absolute.
Especially when the Catholic mystics see the oneness.
Right. Exactly.
Which I've seen, and I'm just like, okay.
Yeah.
They might say it in a different language, but you know what they mean.
Right. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I mean, like, as for what gods I choose to worship versus which ones you choose to worship, or if you don't choose to worship any, that's not absolute truth. I'm not saying it's absolutely true that this God is supreme or something. That's not. That's a personal decision. But I do believe it's absolutely true that there is oneness and non-duality. That's an absolute truth. That, I mean, if someone disagrees with that's their opinion, but I believe that's absolute truth. So, yes, so new data, yes, I believe it would be for everyone, but everyone might filter it differently. Mm-hmm. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So I don't believe hell exists, period. I don't think that's an opinion-based thing. Hell either exists or it doesn't exist. It can't sort of exist. It just can't. You don't have eternal judgment for some people. That doesn't make any sense.
No.
Did you say you don't, or do you do? I didn't.
Towards
in
what?
hell.
I don't believe in hell. I don't believe in an eternal judgment, or it can't. That's not a relativistic truth. It either exists or doesn't exist.
Right.
And I believe that's wrong. I believe it's not correct. I don't believe that's true. So if someone says, I believe hell exists, and I will say, I believe you're wrong. But you have the right to hold that opinion, but I believe you're wrong. That's, we'll agree to disagree on that. I'm not going to say, you have your truth and I have my truth. I don't know. I know a lot of people kind of get offended by that. That's just how I work. You know what I mean?
But then you get into the problem that your truth is right. But then they could say their truth is right.
Well, everyone thinks their truth is right. But again, that's why I'm scientific. I have studied religion for 19 years, and I've been around the block multiple times, and I've collected a lot of data and a lot of personal experience. And of course,
19 years.
19 years. What were you, 8 years old or something?
I'm 28. I was 9 when it started.
9. Yeah.
9?
You're
yeah,
right.
I was 9.
Studying religion?
Yes, I started with Wicca when I was 9 years old.
Oh.
You should one day hear his story.
Oh,
he
God.
was almost every religion under the sun. Not everyone, but almost.
Pretty much. I should tell that one day.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oops. So, you know what I mean? Like, obviously people will disagree, but I don't believe in relative truth. That's kind of a slap in the face of what truth means. Truth is truth, but you can choose to interpret truth in different ways, and that's your personal filter.
Do you believe that there are a group of people that are Abraham? I mean, I agree with you about Esther and her channeling, and we've already gone over that.
Right.
You know, the way it comes out. Do you believe the truth is that there actually is a group that, called Abraham of non-physical people, not taking into account Esther at all?
Well, first of all, she herself admits she named them Abraham. That's not their name.
Okay.
She named them Abraham. And we don't really know why, but that's just what she did.
Yeah, I know. It's kind of weird.
I believe...
She did. Oh.
Yeah,
okay.
she named them Abraham.
Why don't you just call us Abraham? Oh.
Nope. She named them that. I believe that it does have some grounding in truth. Now, I believe my personal belief, my personal feeling on the matter is that over the years, she has gotten overconfident with her channeling ability and lost that direct connection. Mm-hmm. That's my personal feeling on the matter.
But she wants to know if you think there's a direct group.
I mean, Esther is not an educated woman. Was not an educated woman,
right? And
suddenly became extremely articulate. And I mean, her IQ must have gone up 500, points from where she was apparently, because of.
I don't actually find them. I'm sorry.
The way she's talking.
I actually don't find them especially articulate. I mean.
The way she talks?
No, not really, no.
But compared to the way she grew up kind of in a, basically middle class, blue collar, didn't go to, I mean, from what I read.
Yeah, but she had been married for a while. Her husband was pretty well off to begin with.
She's not.
Her husband was into like Amway and stuff like that. He was very successful to begin with.
I'm just talking about the way she spoke.
The way she spoke. I mean, I've heard her speak when not supposedly channeling, and I don't know. I don't see a huge difference.
Oh.
But I mean, I don't know. I do believe there's a group of entities. I think. But I think a lot of what she says is grounded in truth, but I don't believe all of it is by far.
Because I started listening to them back in the 90s.
Right.
And she did sound a lot different when she wasn't channeling.
Yeah, but it's really changed over the years, though, I think. I mean, if anything, her voice is higher pitched when she's not channeling. Her natural voice is higher pitched.
Yeah.
That could be an affectation, though. I mean...
Who knows?
Sorry?
I don't know anything about her much
at
all. You notice I don't say much about her.
Right, yeah. That who knows? That could be an affectation. We just don't know. I don't... I mean, the propaganda on her is going to obviously play up her, her differences and that kind of stuff. So, I mean, I don't know her as a person. I don't think you could really say anything about it unless you knew her as a person. Right. I've heard, and I don't want to, I've heard a lot of personal stories that she and her husband were not very nice in person. A lot of people who worked for them who kind of regretted it after. I don't know. The stories are out there. I'm not going to give the stories, and it's not really useful. But I've heard a lot of bad stories too. So I mean, it's just whatever works for you.
Yeah, that's basically it.
Right, so yeah.
If they're not talking about resistance, they're not. They're missing stuff. So.
Right. Yeah.
She does. She talks about allowing.
Yes,
the art of allowing.
That's good. Yeah,
she does address resistance, I think,
right,
to a certain extent.
Well, that works.
Right. Now you asked a question, Fran, that I didn't get to yet. Christine, what was it?
I don't think it was very important because I can't remember it.
What was it, Christine? Because I said I'll get to it.
I don't remember now.
Something
You should write these down.
Something about how you release.
Oh, my process.
Oh, right.
My process.
Your process.
So.
Because you do it very quickly.
Yeah, I do very quickly. I mean,
that's because you've done it for a while.
Here's the thing. I find a lot of people way overcomplicate this stuff. I don't know. It's just my experience. People are like, how many minutes should I do it for? And how clear does the visualization have to be? I'm like, I don't know.
It's, you know what it reminds me of? When when your grandmother would cook and she doesn't measure stuff.
Yeah, and then you're like, okay, how many cups of this?
I don't know. I don't measure.
Yeah, that's how my mom cooked. She just threw things in.
So that's kind of like sort of how this is.
They came out great.
Right. So, I mean, look, this stuff becomes very intuitive after a while. I mean, it's like I barely really have to focus on it very much anymore.
Right.
But I would say it comes down to this. The general process is that you need to let up your focus from the negative, from the unwanted. That's step number one is you choose your goal. You get clear on your goal. And you choose it. Right? Deliberately choose it. Step number 2, you have to clear your focus from what you don't want. Because the moment you choose your goal, you're going to focus on everything that's in the way of it. You're going to say, well, I don't have it, and this is happening, and that's happening, and that's happening. And that's what you're going to do. So step number 2 is you just have to let go, not react to any of that stuff. So, and then, obviously step number 3 is that you have to change your focus over to what you want. Now, those steps could be seconds apart or minutes apart or days apart, but that's what you have to do. So if I choose a goal, and it could be a very simple goal, it could be a very high, next level goal. If I choose a goal, I'm going to, obviously, like I said, deliberately choose it. I'm going to see what resistance comes up as I focus on it. I'm going to let go of that resistance. I'm going to not give it any attention or reaction. I'm going to just, when it comes up, I'm just going to, okay, that's there. Acknowledge it, let it go. And I'm going to focus on the feeling, the vibrational signature, as I've called it, of the desire. There's really nothing more difficult or complicated than that. It's really very simple. It's not rocket science. I mean,
yeah.
It's just not. I mean, I've seen it over and over and over and over and over and over again. I would say, I have the 10 Keys course, that one. I would say the biggest key of all this is trust. So if you don't have that trust,
faith and trust,
you can't let go. Because your ego, here's the thing. So the step number 2 of letting go, not focusing on the unwanted. Because here's the thing. The ego wants to force the goal. It wants to say, all right, I want the goal. I'm going to do whatever it takes. I'm going to, force my way there. And that doesn't work, right? So, step number 2 is all about letting go completely of the focus on the unwanted so that you can naturally, within yourself, focus on the goal. It's counter to everything the ego is all about to do that. If you have a very strong ego, you're going to be fighting very, very hard.
Yeah.
You're going to be fighting very hard. So that faith and trust, if you don't have that in that second step, if you can't say, hey, look, I know you're worried about this, but every time I've ever done this, it's worked out. That's faith.
Mm-hmm.
And that's trust. So if you can't do that, then, it's going to be hard.
Right.
Basically. That's where it's at.
Thanks.
But, sorry. But,
Good job, Brandon.
Sorry about that. It was an accident. But it's all
that sounded like a mic drop, man. That was incredibly funny. That was, it did. No, that was great. Like, mic drop.
That was my computer hitting into the microphone. Because I picked it up so I take notes on, I write out the outline of the call so I can post it.
Can hardly hear you, Brandon.
Oh, you can't hear me anymore?
You're sounding really far away.
Hang on. Let's see. 1 second. Oh, that's why. Better?
Say something.
Better?
Yeah.
Better?
Little, yeah.
All right. It's
Still-
because there was that sudden.
Brenda, are you there?
I think she's muted.
Okay.
No one disconnected. I think it's because there was that
Yeah,
sudden.
I'm muted.
I think it was because there was that sudden loud noise, and it adjusted my microphone like way down because it was so loud. Because it tries not to let me like go too loud. Am I better now?
Yeah.
All right, good. Anyway, what was I saying? So, Christine, get me back on track.
What were we talking about?
Well, you're supposed to keep track. Justin, get me back on track.
It was right after you just described. You said if you can't do that, it's going to be hard.
Faith and trust.
Faith and trust.
And then
Oh,
you
then we had
dropped
the mic drop.
Which is incredible.
We had the mic drop. No, but that.
And then Fran said thanks. And then you hit the mic.
I hit the microphone. That is the most important step. If you can't let go of the unwanted, then you can't do it. It's just as simple as that. You can't do it. You have to let go. And here's the thing that bugs me sometimes, because the universe can't go against your vibration. It can't. Right? I mean, if you have a relationship with a deity, they can sort of do some influence, but you still sort of have to be at least somewhat there.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, you got to be somewhat in line with it.
You got to be somewhat there.
Even just without a deity, you got to have enough of a doorway for it to get through. And then if it's too small, and if you're fighting it too much, it's going to really hurt when it gets through there.
Right. So, because it bugs me a lot when I see people who want, their desires they have, and they're perfectly valid desires, and don't have that faith to take it to the next step. It reminds me of, honestly, Christine's going to laugh at me. It reminds me of Jesus, and, the disciples are out there in the boat, and Jesus comes walking on the water, and, Peter at first is like, oh yeah, let's go walk and meet him, because Jesus is like, come here, Peter, whatever. And Peter comes over, he's walking on the water, and they realize what he's doing. He's like, oh, he sinks.
And then he goes, Lord, save me.
Yeah. Jesus is like, if you just would have kept believing.
Don't stop believing.
What?
He was thinking, don't stop believing. If you would have just kept going, you would have been fine.
Yeah.
I think he said, you have little faith or something, he kind of rebuked him. It's like, you were so close. I can just imagine him saying, you were so close.
Because he even said, if you tell me to walk on the water and come, I'll come. So he said, come. He wasn't expecting him to say come.
Right. So, yeah.
And he didn't expect the water to hold him. He goes, ah!
Yeah.
And he sinks. He starts to sink. And then,
yeah.
Lord, save me.
So,
and of course.
I see this, people do this all the time.
I've been able to swim.
I see people do this all the time.
A fisherman? I don't understand that part.
I know. I see people do this all the time, though, where they're getting close to their manifestation, and then realization hits, like, oh, what's going on? Oh my God, I'm getting there. Sink. They do a Peter act. gonna start calling it a Peter Act.
You should too.
It's like, oh, and they don't have the faith. They just don't have the faith. Now, if you've seen it happen hundreds of times, then you have the faith. But as they say, you won't see it until you believe it. It's the opposite of the comment, I'll believe it when I see it. No, you won't see it until you believe it. It can't happen until you have the trust.
And Jesus always said, you have to believe first.
Right. Believe first and, whatever. And
he'd rebuke you if you didn't.
Right. So you have to have the faith. You have to have the trust. If you don't,
let Peter drown.
Yeah.
You grabbed him right away.
I know.
He hesitated.
I
don't know about this guy.
Is it worth it?
This
guy's pretty stupid.
He did not. God.
He's supposed to be the rock of my church. He's
and then
sinking like a rock.
And then it goes on and denies him 3 times. I will not deny you. Nuh-uh. I don't think he said nuh-uh. I don't think that. But
Nuh-uh.
I will not deny you. Yeah, you will. 3 times before the rooster crows. No, I'm not gonna.
No, dog.
I don't know him.
I'm gonna do that to you, man.
Yeah.
You're my boy.
I don't know him. And 3 times, like, oh.
You did hesitate when you were actually trying to save me from drowning. Well, that's because you were sinking like a rock, Peter, like the rock of my church you are.
Oh, my God.
Okay, back track. Anyway, but so
Fran, you're probably like, what the heck are we talking about?
But
I couldn't resist. I had to do the rock joke.
Yeah, it's fine. I know. It's funny. But yeah, if you don't have faith, you just can't do it. And you, unfortunately, like I said, it's frustrating because people will really have these great big desires that are really inspiring to them and they really want them. And the universe won't give it to them before they're ready. It can't. It literally cannot.
You're blocking it without the faith.
Right.
It's like a wall that you're just...
You have to have that faith in order for it to happen.
Even if it's a little bit. It doesn't have to be a lot.
Right.
I'll tell you one of the things that I struggle with is I'm disappointed sometimes in other people's actions when I'm like, you guys...
Justin, you're so far away.
Oh, sorry about that. Sometimes I'll be disappointed in a situation where I'm like, whoever it is, you should have just given me this. I actually have to manifest it. Really? Really, guys?
I know.
Wow. Okay.
Right. But yeah, you have to have that faith and trust. There's no more important skill than that. So that's what I would say is the most important because that's what I've developed over the last couple of years. So first, like I said, I was a total cynic. I did not believe in it.
Until September.
Until that September when I was sink or swim. And
2015, right?
I mean, look, it was literally, I mean, we had. It
was 2015, right?
September 2015. We had $250 for the month. Now, we're a married couple. And we're, paying utilities, paying for phone bills, paying groceries, paying everything.
Because Social Security cut us.
Right. We had $250, maybe $270. I don't know. It was
under $300.
It was under $300 for the month, with no expectation of more on the way. Now, that's when I said, okay, I don't know if this stuff is true or not, but I'm going to find out really quickly. Yes, I don't have any other choice. Right? So that's when I just said, okay, well, I can't panic. Panicking is the big manifestation killer. What you say, Justin?
No, nothing.
No, I said, wouldn't you say panic is like the big manifestation killer?
Absolutely.
Yeah. And so I said, okay, I can't panic. Just can't. I can't go there.
You were too shocked to panic.
No. Trust me. I was very tempted to panic. I was very tempted to panic. But I said, I can't do it because the law of attraction, if it's real, I can't panic. Okay? So I have to trust. I have to just let it go and just trust it's going to work out. And it worked out in spades. I mean...
My mom got all our groceries.
Did she?
Yes.
No, we paid for some of them.
Did we? I think she got
I don't know
them
what all the sources... It doesn't matter what the sources were.
I mean, what I'm saying is...
But all the bills got paid. It worked.
I don't even remember how it worked now.
It worked. All the bills got paid. And it wasn't just like... And the reason I, kind of reacting because I don't want it to sound like, oh, family just stepped in and paid everything, because that sounds like a cop.
No, because she doesn't always.
Yeah, but she knew it was tough for us.
The money comes from whatever avenue.
Exactly.
The point is, but I don't want it to sound like family just did it for us, because that's not true.
No,
it was from all different sources.
Yeah, it was a whole
some
bunch.
Yes, some from family, but
right.
a ton from other. I mean, we had enough. Okay, I'll put it in this light. We had enough that, because it was my birthday that month, we had enough to go out to my favorite restaurant for dinner for my birthday.
Which is expensive.
Which was like $70.
I'll give you another example. I was in a recently. I'm trying to remember, these days are blending together.
Mm-hmm.
But I've had people just randomly pay for my meals.
Oh, I have too.
And in fact, I'll tell you this: for 2 years, I was manifesting money, and almost for two straight. And almost every time I went out anywhere, someone paid for it.
Yep.
Straight up, like my friends, random strangers, meals, drinks. If I went out to a bar, people just, man, I got you, man. I mean, that was the only reason I could actually socialize with people.
Yeah. So it was that point I knew the law of attraction. There had to be. Now, I want to say, yes, I was new to the law of attraction in a deliberate sort of way, but I have been using it. I mean, we all have been using it all of our lives, but I had known in some way that there was something to it, even though I was, I guess I was cynic of the law of attraction as it's commonly taught, but I knew there was something because, I've always had this belief that everything would always work out, and I've talked about examples in my life, but before I knew about the law of attraction, where things looked really hopeless, but they all worked out. Go ahead.
I'll say this, and you just remind me of some stories.
Yeah.
I figured it out when I was about 29 or so, because I was in desperate straits at a job I disliked. And I don't even know when. I was just reading a Wayne Dyer book. I don't even remember why I started. In the middle of the book, I went, aha, wait, this is how to get out of it.
Right.
Now, granted, I think I was coming at it from the wrong angle because I was in desperate straits.
Right.
But I thought, wait a minute, blindness doesn't matter.
Right.
Like, I might have to use more eldritch power because you're going to be fighting a little bit more, you're going to be going through more stuff. So I may have to get a higher vibration or more energy going, but I could do that because the energy is infinite. So who cares?
Right.
And then, so I said, okay, let's try this. And I remember, I manifested money from the back end. Like, people should pay this stuff.
Right.
It was crazy. Man,
yeah.
It does work.
Well, I'll say this, even when I was a kid, I knew, because I was a very observant child. I always observed how things worked. And sounds like a workshop over at Fran's house.
What?
It sounds like a workshop over there.
It does. It's actually
drawers
hilarious,
squeaking
man.
and shutting. And...
Oh my God! Oops. Did I lose you?
No.
Oh,
we're happy because I'm learning new techniques from your workshop over there.
Like, are you hearing me talk? Am I teaching?
Yeah.
Shut.
You are.
I'm hearing you squeak.
Well, it's my cat and I are sitting and listening.
I know how to close a drawer now.
No,
I was eating a chocolate bar and drinking milk because
I heard the drawer close or something. I don't know.
I don't know what you got. You guys are delusional.
I think you have a poltergeist at your house because we're hearing like.
Don't scare her.
I'm going to practice closing my drawer now.
I'm hearing squeaking drawers and like.
Well, sometimes I move my chair and it does squeak.
Oh, that's your chair. And then I hear a banging noise.
But I'm not banging and doing all those things that you're saying. I
don't know, but I'm going to practice those when I get off this coaching call because
Yeah.
I want to workshop too.
Well, now you've kind of made me a little concerned that there's somebody, another
I wonder
entity
if part of
in
it's
here.
just the inside of your computer making noises.
I bet it's your computer fan is probably making a loud noise.
Yeah.
Anyway, what I wanted to say was, even when I was a kid, like I said, I was very observant, and I realized when I was a kid, if I got too and this is absolutely true, and you won't hear this with a lot of attraction, this is absolutely true. If I got too excited, tell me anyone else's experiences. If I got too excited about something,
it didn't happen.
It wouldn't happen.
That's why you got the deadpan, can you keep most of the same cadence and same tones?
Do I? Are you calling me monotone?
No, you're not monotone, but it's like.
But when he does get excited, he jumps up and down.
Wait, I want to know what Justin's saying.
It's not. You're not monotone, but you're controlled. It's like it's interesting.
I know. Look, and I've tested this again and again and again and again, and I've never.
There he goes with the testing.
No, but I have. If you get too excited about something and you're so thrilled about it happening, it won't happen.
Here's a story.
I promise you, it won't happen.
You mean you get all excited before it's manifested?
Yes, it won't happen.
You can get excited when it manifests.
If I think someone's going to sign up, and I get really excited about it, it won't happen.
Now, see, that would be like an Abraham thing.
Why?
That would be an Abraham thing.
Because you feel good.
You're really excited about somebody signing up.
Yeah, but it doesn't happen.
Yeah.
It sabotages it.
What's your explanation for it?
Someone had a story. Who had a story?
I did.
You did. What was your story?
But no, it was just because it happened to me when I was, I think, 9 or 10. I was so excited to go to the amusement park with a friend of mine.
Mm-hmm.
And we were going to go on a particular Sunday, I believe it was. And I was so excited, and she canceled the last minute.
Yeah, it happens.
And I don't remember, I must have not been, like, I was more controlled about it because I knew it was going to happen the week later. Right. So I was just like, okay. And it happened.
If you get out of control emotion about something, it doesn't happen.
Well, out of control, but I've gotten really excited about things before they happen, and they happen.
This is like...
in the past.
This is like, okay, you can look forward to something in a calm sort of way, but I mean like really hyped up, like nervous, excited, like, oh my gosh, I'm so excited. It's good. And then you sort of get nervous and I hope it all works out. And like, I don't know. Do you know what I'm talking about, Justin?
I try not to do that.
Yeah, because it
I think
sabotages
what it does is it almost turns into fear.
If it's a nervous excitement, it becomes into a hyped up fear.
Yeah,
mostly because the reason why I try not to do this because it's embarrassing. It has nothing to do with manifestation. I'll just be really honest. I haven't never tested that. I just always
I'm telling you, it sabotages every
focused
time.
power is what I like.
It is fear.
To me, if you're like all hyped up,
it's not fear. It's more nervousness. It's more
it's nervous tension. I think
it's like
it's excitement, but it's kind of
what it does is
morphs into some nervous tension, maybe that you don't realize.
It's almost like shaking the line or something like that. Like if you are, it's okay to get, like when I won that national scholarship, I was really excited,
right?
But I was controlled. Like it has to be controlled. When he told me I won, I said, okay, I appreciate it. Yeah. What do you want me to do? That's all I said to him.
Exactly. It has to be controlled. Overreaction emotionally, I find, tends to sabotage it.
Mm-hmm.
I've never tested that.
I know I'm going to get a lot of weird comments about this on the blog if, like when people listen, because it's something I've tested for myself. It's just something I observed as a child, like I said, and it's always held true for me.
But athletes, though, are the same way. They get pumped up. But what happens is if they get the nervous jitters, you can tell that they're too pumped up, and their form is off.
That makes sense.
They're throwing the ball all over the place, and their passes are off.
It makes sense because of that control that you're talking about.
So you want to get right to the line, and then you want to stay smooth and controlled.
It has to be a controlled excitement, a controlled feeling good, but not out of control, like an ecstatic sort of, oh my gosh, I can't believe this is happening. Like, That's why I won't tell Christina about something until it's done. Because I know if I tell her this might happen, then I'll get nervous and it won't happen. I know it.
And that's his. I mean, I've never tested that, so I don't know. He says that's how it works for him. That's how it works for him.
Right.
I guess I gotta say that honestly, I probably have gotten really ecstatic about something, and it still worked.
It just depends on the energy.
I can't even remember it in so long.
Yeah, but I'll be honest, I've never tested it and I don't know. And I've tried over the years to maintain form. My thing is form follows function. Yeah. So for me, I like controlled power.
Yes, it has to be that.
Now, the only time is if I'm mad or something, that's a little bit different. But then there's just enough force to blast through. But for the most part, you want controlled power. You don't want to get all so hyped up that your energy's flying all over the place, because then you lose power. Right. So what happens is when you do all that nervous excitement, ecstatic, you lose power. I
literally have to put on the brakes a little bit on the emotions, because I know that from experience, not from it's not a limiting belief, it's experience.
Yeah.
If I let it get out of control, it'll put up obstacles. Like, I'll give you an example. One time I ordered a new computer, a new MacBook Pro or whatever, and I was so psyched about it coming, and I was like over the top happy and like really super excited and waiting for it to come, and then there was like a delay with the shipment, or a delay with it being delivered or whatever. And I'm like, I figured that would happen because I was just too over the top about it. You know what I mean?
Was that when they missed the house in Pennsylvania?
Yes.
And your mom even tried to chase the truck.
Yep. And
they never miss your house.
Exactly. That's because I was too over the top about it. I knew, okay, when I got my Yeti microphone, I knew, because I was so over the top, I had to tune it way down, because I was like, oh my God, I'm so excited. And then I start worrying about it, like, okay, I hope it all works out. And then, I had to tune it way down, because I said, if I keep it up like this, it's not going to get delivered, or it's going to be broken, or if it's something's going to be wrong, because I can't be like this and it work out. It just doesn't work. It doesn't work.
For me also, sometimes if I have too much energy, things don't work either.
Right.
For example, it's more of, for me, it's people. It's more of like, I'm super excited. I noticed that for whatever reason, the individual, whatever it is, doesn't work out.
Yeah.
It's like I think my energy can sometimes get overwhelming.
Yeah.
But I haven't tested it as much as you have.
Right. Right.
I've just kind of noticed it.
I've been seeing this stuff since I was a kid, since I was growing up. And I've always been a tester. I've always been an experimenter. Very scientific mindset. And that's always been...
Leave it to you.
How I...
For me, I've trusted a combination of strength, skill, and faith.
Right.
So I've always just thought, you know what? If I hit hard enough, it will work, even if it doesn't look pretty. Because sometimes I've just had to do that. So it's like, you know what? I'm going to get some collateral damage, but eventually this thing's going to work.
Right.
What do you, Justin? Give us an example. What are you
getting through semesters. Sometimes, man, I just had to plow through. But the thing is, I also practice a lot of stuff over the years. So it's like I practice an internal control that's always there.
Right.
So when I do it, it's like I trust God in my own strength. And I just feel if I align with enough strength, and if my focus is there, then the divine will just take care of the rest.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And it's always worked. Now, that's not the best way to teach someone. I would never teach you that at first, ever. But when you get to a certain level, you can do it. And I started doing it early because I didn't have ground teaching. I had to teach myself.
Right. Wow.
So I eventually just learned, okay, we can use archangels. We can use God and enough internal strength, and it'll go through.
Right. Yeah. And that's essentially been my approach lately is the deliberate choice, put your will behind it. Don't make it like a well, I hope that it works out, or it has to be, I absolutely decide and choose right now that it's going to happen.
Even
right?
If I change my mind,
you're describing my past. Like both of you, Justin and Brandon. Well, I had tremendous will and control.
If you look at, again, the data has to, or the theory has to conform to the data. Mm-hmm. If you look at like really wealthy people, and I mean wealthy people who are like actually happy, not people who are like, still have a poverty mindset, but they technically have a lot of money. They're not passive people. They're not people who say, I hope it works out. No, they are people who say, I am going after this. That's why I don't get this passive thing about the law of attraction that some people teach. Like this thing, well, just, let it be okay whether it comes or doesn't come. No.
It's like I want whatever it is.
Maybe they do that because they're trying.
I'm going to tell you why, though.
A lot of resistance, and they get scared, and they're trying to calm them down.
Well, Brandon did a better job with that than most people. A lot of people like what you just described. You actually did a good job with that. A lot of people, what they try to do is take, because they're in the West, they hear so much about the East, right? And they say, I'm gonna do that because it seems so relaxed and chill.
Right.
But see, here's the thing: if you didn't grow up with that, or if you're not over there, right, that methodology you can't just blanket use in the West because you're in a different context.
And
so that technique may work.
And here's the thing: there's.
Oh, he wasn't.
Sorry, go ahead.
So that technique may either work over there or work if you were absolutely raised in that environment, because you have to really be able to let go and align just right.
Right.
And it's just not the way we're raised. You can use some of it for like internal tinkering, like for the adaptation. But you also have to use some of the stuff that you grew up doing. So that's why the way that Brandon and I do it kind of now fits us partially.
Right. Well, Andy, there's this trend in the spiritual community to sort of, like how Christians will sort of idolize the Bible basically and say it's like the absolute, like whatever it says goes, it's the absolute word of God. Spiritual people do the same thing with Eastern teachings. It's like, well, if an Eastern guru said it, it must be true. Right? So they kind of idolize it and make it this big, like, basically gospel. But it won't work. It's not all true. I find a lot of flaws in it also, just like in Western stuff, It has a lot of use. Mindfulness is wonderful, but you're not supposed to go to no desire. You're not supposed to.
I have trouble with mindfulness.
Mindfulness is a wonderfully useful technique. It's the best technique.
No, I mean, it's not going to like it. I just have a lot of trouble.
Because it takes spiritual development. It's not easy. No one said it's easy.
No, it's not.
But it's more or less required in order to actually free yourself of resistance, right? Really, you got to stop believing the story of your ego is what it is. You got to stop believing those ego stories. And Fran, you should listen to our last podcast. It'll help with stop identifying with your past stories. You talk about that.
Yeah, I'm going to listen to that.
But a lot of people idolize the East and say, it's like it's absolutely true, and you have to have no desire, and they'll go and join an ashram and whatever, and it just it doesn't work.
That's not the Western condition.
Well, that's why you blend the two.
Right. Like I say, it's very good in its own right. Like mindfulness is wonderful, meditation is wonderful, but not for killing off desire. You're not supposed to kill off desire.
Right.
It's just not going to happen.
I was raised in a super go-getter atmosphere.
And that works as long as you've got
it worked for
the
a long
internal
time.
Structure to do it.
Yes.
But see, if you don't have the internal structure to do it, then you need mindfulness and some of the Eastern stuff.
Yes.
And that's why it works so well in the West, because we go get, but you tear up so much of yourself and you never repair it. Right. So the Eastern meditation repairs it, and you feel so much better.
Yeah.
But a lot of people are still using the go-getter at the same time, so it kind of works. until you really need to get a next level or a couple levels of gold, then you actually don't exactly know how to do it. You don't know how to blend them.
Right. Exactly.
And Western schools did a great job of what they do. It's just they called it different stuff.
Right.
Well, it's not balanced though, Western school.
But it is. It's just presented differently.
Right. Like the Western magical schools are great.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you were talking about just
Western
we were educated in elementary school.
No. Western magical schools are great.
Oh, magical schools. Oh,
right.
Well, mystery schools.
Right.
Like
Golden Dawn, OTO.
I've never heard of this.
Theosophical Society.
What?
Theosophical Society.
OTO. See, I don't know as much as you do about it.
OTO, the Ordo Templi Orientis.
What is that?
It's a magical society. Yes, it is. All these they're very Latin based. Yeah, the Golden Dawn, the AA. It's called the.
Hey, you're going backwards now. I mean, your mic going crazy.
Is it?
Yeah, now it sounds like
a little bit
talking from far away.
Okay, so OTO, Theophis. What'd you call it?
Theophysist.
Theosophical Society.
And
why is your mic?
Yeah, what's going on with you?
And what you call it? Golden Dawn.
Golden Dawn, yeah.
And then the other one I like is what are the other schools you were going to name some more?
Those are the two major ones: the OTO, the Golden. There's another one called like the AA or something, but I don't know. It's
not what you think.
Not that one, no.
And I like conjure and hoodoo, stuff like that.
But yeah,
these are all magic.
They're all magical orders. Yeah.
Oh.
They would be fun, but they're so disciplined. It's like
they're very structured. They're mostly based on mystical Kabbalah, but they're very. But yeah, they have a lot of. They mix the Eastern and the Western in a very nice way.
You can actually do some of them online now too.
Yeah, they have something called the Open Source Order of the Golden Dawn, where it's basically they give you all the ceremonies and you can do them yourself.
Is this like online?
Yeah, this one is. Most of them are like physical, like societies, like you get initiated and stuff.
You have to be there wherever they are.
Right, okay, but there's one that's online. That's the Open Source Order of the Golden Dawn. And I almost did it once. You need all these like tools and stuff that I just, like at the time I just couldn't afford all that stuff. Like, you gotta get the robes, you gotta get the decorations. I can't see what I'm doing. I don't really care about the decorations.
Yeah. It's interesting tonight. There's only one synagogue here in this small town. It's mostly all churches, and the rabbi is doing a series 4 weeks called the Hebrew Angels, Kabbalah. And so starting tonight,
that's cool.
I was just too tired to do it. Yeah. But there are a lot of Hebrew angels, aren't there? I mean, I changed the subject.
I was just going to say that was way out of left
I know. That was like, I don't know what. I guess you were talking about, I thought about
different magical schools. We're just talking about how you can blend it together, but that each school, like the Western school is great.
There's a...
why is it...
I'm monitoring the volume. For people who are interested in magic, there's a wonderful tradition called chaos magic.
Yeah.
Oh, I like that.
Which is really into basically anything you want to use as a tool goes. And you it's all about like sigils are very involved.
Maybe I'll throw my cat like in, bowl of water, pot of water. And
what were you saying?
Not that kind
boil it and,
Please don't boil your cat.
Incense and all.
What were you saying about the sigils or what now?
Oh, like they use sigils and as a magical tool and all sorts of different things you can use.
Where do you find... Okay, go ahead.
No, chaos magic is really fascinating to me. I love it. Like you can use anything as a tool. It's very non-structured. It's just anything you want to do, basically. I like it. What were we going to ask?
Where do you... I've seen chaos magic. I've never...
Just Google it, and there's lots of resources out there.
I was going to find a book or something on it. I've seen chaos magic. I kind of like it, too.
Yeah.
I like that, and I like conjure and shamanic work and African.
Yeah, it's just whatever tradition. I like the witchcraft traditions, too, obviously,
Oh yeah.
Whatever works for you. I mean, it's sort of whatever you feel like. I'm not a very ritualistic person. I'm very, very relaxed about tradition and structure and ritual and stuff like that. So chaos magic is a really good fit for me, or just what they call like direct magic, just mental magic. Like the reason I don't use rituals, I don't need to. I focus on something for a few minutes and it happens. I don't really need to use ritual to get it out there. You know what I mean? So I just don't.
Especially if you got your life tailored, it really works. Then you just like
it just works.
It works well, man.
I know it's going to work. It works. Why do I need a ritual and do all that kind of stuff and set up for it?
What happened to Brenda?
She's muted. She's still here.
She's listening though, right?
Yeah, she's here.
So for me, I use blend stuff. I mean, but
right.
I like to be a little bit more focused,
structured.
Yeah.
Structured, but like in a energetic way. In other words, the certain energies I use are energies I'm familiar with. I love candles and things like that because they're so powerful.
I just don't care about that stuff a lot. I don't know.
But I mean, I've also done mental magic and it's worked just fine. Actually, my mental magic works a lot.
Yeah, mine lately is really on target. I mean, I get amazed almost every time. Like I'll do it the evening before and the next day an opportunity will line up. Oh, hey, look. Like I was having trouble with something the other day and I was going to try to, like, it was a goal. I needed to get it done somehow. And I wasn't sure. There's this one thing that was kind of inaccessible for me to do. So I was trying to figure out how to do it. I'm like, well, I've tried a few ways, non-magical means, kind of fell through. So I'm like, you know what? I just need to get this done. It's going to happen. And then I just sort of figured it out. You know what I mean? So like I get that all the time where things just line up. And
wow.
Okay. And the other thing I'll do is say, okay, Archangel Gabriel, hey, fix that.
I'll do the same thing with Hades. Done. My God is Hades. I'm like, Hades, I just sort of need help with this. All right. What were you saying, Fran?
No, I was just thinking I'm going into the passive manifestation phase again, where I've got all this split energy and I'm getting a lot of good passive manifestation. Right. All today it started. And it's like weird because you can think that you're in the middle of a lot of negativity. But with me, it's making me feel proud of myself that there's got to be something there that is trying to get out because it never goes that far. I mean, I can't explain it. It's just things are really weird right now. And then all of a sudden today I was doing all this stuff, but I was getting all these people, like this Lou place gave me an entire car inspection for nothing.
That's awesome.
Oh, really?
And this my glasses broke and I took it in and she put them all together for free. She put the glasses together and and I wasn't like asking, I was just sort of saying, well, can you do this? But, my situation is such that if you can, you can, if you can't.
So you were asking.
No, I wasn't. Actually, I wasn't. I was just saying, I'm worried. I would tell them what was wrong and then start doing it.
Right.
And I'd say, well, I can't. Then once they started, I would say, well, kind of embarrassed, it's not in my budget right now. And they're like, oh, no. I didn't, this was free.
Right.
That kind of thing.
My thing, I don't get, here's what I get. Something I want, I need to, it's a goal of mine. Now this might seem reckless. I'm sorry. I know we're over time, but if you guys don't mind, I don't mind. Real quick, 2 points real quick, and then we'll finish. I'll be like, this is sort of a stretch for me, but I really need this done. So I'm going to pay for it. It's just going to have to work out. And then the money shows up. I find that for me, like when I spend on something I really need, for the business especially or something like that, the money shows up.
Yeah, I've found out too.
Yeah? I don't.
You mean after you pay for it?
After I pay for it. The money I have the money. I have, lots of money in the bank. It's not a matter of that, but it's like the budget, you know what I mean? And it's different categories. but the money because I just know it'll show up. I'm like, well, I need this to work.
Because he used to be too frugal, is what he's trying to say.
Right. Like go ahead.
Like he used to, I'm going to hold on to every dollar because I'm afraid it's going to leave. It's going to go through my fingers. So guess what?
Like I find whatever I need to budget for just sort of happens. I mean, it's not really a stressful thing. It just like last month I had to pay for the intros for the podcasts, and it was, like I had to pay for 2 intros, and it was sort of...
It was expensive.
It was sort of expensive. And like, you know what?
And you need to get a microphone, too.
And I spent, literally, because I got the one microphone, like the cheap one, for $40, and then it wasn't good enough, so I bought the $106 microphone plus tax on that, plus shipping on that, plus I got 1-day shipping, plus the pop filter, which I don't even use, plus the windscreen. Last month, I looked at the budget after the fact, like, holy God, I spent $208 on equipment.
Well,
and I'm like,
grow.
Yeah, right. And I'm like, well, it's going to have to work. I'm going to buy it. It's going to have to work.
When you're ready to grow, the universe will grow with you.
It'll happen.
It's actually hard to get extra money if you're not willing to extend
put it out
to where you kind of need it. It's weird. It's
you got to put it out.
You have to show the universe that you're ready for it and that you choose it and that you need the money, and then the money will just be there. But if you're just kind of like, I'm scared,
right?
It's just gonna be like, oh,
right.
Well,
you mean explain to the universe why you need the money?
If you just
just do it.
If you're just ready, you have to be ready to choose it, whatever it is. And it might, for example, I mostly take Uber to work right now.
Right.
It's a lot more expensive than Dart, but it just so happens I've also got a friend that drives me home. I just simply told it just felt
telling
right.
The universe,
hey,
look, universe, this is going to have to work.
We're done. I'm done with this Uber. I don't have time for this. I mean, with the Dart, I don't have time for this.
Right.
So now I'm taking Dart Thursday to go to the NFB meeting.
What's
but that's
Dart?
Because it's a paratransit. But that's because I don't really care when I get there. So that's fine. But for the most part, I just take Uber everywhere, and then I've called on Archangel Raphael, who's transportation.
Oh, yeah, for travel.
And I'm just like, okay, we're done. I'm done. I don't have time for messing around, waiting for spending 2+ extra hours a day messing with paratransit. I just can't do it. I don't have time.
Yeah, I just, you know what? I tell you, go ahead.
And then what happens is, it just works out, and you have to do it when you feel it. You have to. You can't feel like desperate. You can't. You got to force. You can't force it. You just it just literally comes together. I just know it'll happen. So like, I had to spend on both podcast intros. It was expensive, but I said, you know what? I want good intros for my podcasts. I want to invest in them, and it's gonna have to work. And then I have to the microphone. I'm like, oh my God, I have to get these microphones. And then I'm like, you know what? It's gonna have to work because I'm gonna do it.
And I'll tell you, I had the director at a place I used to work is entirely too frugal.
Oh my God.
And you know who I'm talking about?
Yes.
And he wouldn't buy a Keurig because it's too expensive. Because he was in the scarcity mindset.
Right.
When he had plenty of money. Now, get a load of that.
Oh, wow.
A
lot of people are like that. Yeah.
I know. He had, he was the CEO of a business.
Right.
And wouldn't invest in a Keurig because they're too expensive.
Right.
Seriously?
I know this sounds like horrible budgeting advice, but I just sort of say, I'm just going to do it, and the money has to show up.
Well,
it's not really an option.
Sometimes that can also happen when there's an emergency. That the money like last March, my birthday.
Yeah, I remember.
I got really sick when Daphne got sick, and all of a sudden I had to come up with $100 that I didn't think I had. I mean, I didn't have to spend. And I got home, and I ended up the money just was like flying at me from all directions. And I had seen a rainbow right after I left the vet with my cat. And I was seeing the rainbow, and it was like, it was my guides saying it's going to be okay, because when I got home, I wasn't upset, I was just like, it's okay, I did what I had to do. And then all of a sudden, all this money was coming from, from everywhere. And I ended up getting paid back for what I had just spent.
Well, it's the structural tension. It's the creative tension where you say, you know what, I'm going to do it. I don't know how it's going to happen.
Yeah.
It's going to happen. And I do this all the time now. And like I said, it's horrible budgeting advice. I'm sorry.
No, I know.
But I do it. I say, I'm going to pay this. It's going to have to work out. Not out of desperation, but it's just, it's going to happen because I'm going to make it happen.
Mm-hmm.
It's just going to work out. It's not, like I said, this passive thing that people do. It's not passive. It's not, if it works out or doesn't, it's okay. No, it's going to work because I'm going to make it work.
You got to have that willpower.
You got to set up that sort of discomfort. I say just get comfortable with discomfort. You got to set up that stretch. Like, I don't know how I'm going to get there, but it's going to happen. And you have to get comfortable with that. And then it happens. Every time it happens. Every single time. Right, Christine?
Once you have that will and that feeling, then do you let it go after that? I mean,
it depends what you mean by letting it go. I mean, I really drive towards it. I focus on it every day, multiple times a day.
You let go of the resistance part.
You let go of the resistance.
But you don't get into the details of how it's going to come.
No,
I'm just like it's going to happen. That's all there is to it. I don't care how it's going to happen.
The details just sort of happen.
Yeah. Right.
I don't care. Like I don't care how it's going to happen. It's just going to happen.
It's kind of fun to see how it happens.
Yeah,
it's like a story.
I just know it well. There's no question about it. It's going to happen.
It's like you're living in a book.
But here's the thing, and this is my last point. I should I don't know if I should do a blog post on this or something, but deliberate living, because I talked about being the storyteller of your own life in the podcast last week. You have to choose where your life goes. You have to choose how things develop. You have to choose, where your life is leading. And if you're not doing that, you're giving up a lot of power.
Mm-hmm.
You have to choose it. You can't stand by and just let life do its thing, let your subconscious do its thing. You have to take the reins and just say, this is what's happening because I choose it, because I'm a creator and what I say goes in my life. Mm-hmm. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it,
You mean without any tools? You mean you're talking about bottom line, without, that's the bottom line.
Right.
Without doing all the little things, just basically telling your subconscious this is the way it is.
I don't even, just tell your subconscious this is how it is. I don't even focus on technique. There are times I just choose a goal. I don't even do a lot of visualization. This is if I feel really confident, but this is a current level goal. But I would just choose it. I say, look, this is how it's going. I don't care how you get us there, but we're getting there. And it happens like magic. And it is magic.
You feel it.
Right.
It's a balance.
Right.
But it's more work when it's next level. You have to.
Yeah. It's more work. Yeah.
Don't overbalance it. Don't
scary.
Don't choose something that
it's so scary that it's not.
Or just feels wrong. No.
Well, that helped me. That helped me.
Together with it.
Yeah. I've got something tomorrow morning. I've got to deal with a bunch of bureaucrats and make something happen that's really screwed up right now. And I kind of feel that really inspired me to just say, I'm going to make this happen.
Yeah.
You are strong. You're a lion.
You have to take control of life because if you don't take control of life, your subconscious, here's the thing about letting go, your subconscious, when not controlled, will do what's natural to your subconscious. Now, sometimes it's a good thing.
Right.
Sometimes that's a good thing. But, if you have good subconscious structures in place. But often it's not a good thing because you have ineffective, unuseful subconscious structures in place that are going to lead you towards, things that you don't want. So you have to take control and say, this is how it's going. I don't care how hard it is. I don't care what has to happen.
Do you ever ask your guides or your gods when you do that?
Ask them what?
To help?
You know what? I've tried, and this is why I'm so strong with this lately. I've asked Hades. Okay, I had this real quick. I'm sorry. We're really over time.
Yeah, I got to go.
Real quick. Well, if you have to go, you have to go.
No, I mean, I don't have to go the second, but
okay.
Soon.
I had this conversation with Hades the other day. I'm like, I don't, what should I do here? He's like, do you want it? I'm like, yeah. He's like, then choose it. Okay. He's like, make it happen. Like, okay. He won't help. I mean, I say, look, Hades, give me guidance on how to make it happen. If I ask him to make it happen he's like, you do it. Okay. He's very much a self-sufficient, he wants me to do it.
But he might not be that way with everybody.
He's that way. He's harsh.
It's not that they won't. It's not that he isn't helping. He's giving you the avenue to do it.
It's tough love. It's sink or swim. It's like, well, do it. He literally had this very like sarcastic conversation. Like, do you want it? Yeah. Then choose it. Okay. I wish I remember what it was about.
No guidance whatsoever.
Yeah.
Not really. He's like.
But it's how do I explain it? Imagine a really, really tough coach.
Right.
Who is giving you guidance, but it's tough guidance. I mean, it's not, it's tough. Like Cassio did that to me a couple of nights ago. He's a harsh archangel, which I like, and he really helped me out the last couple of days.
It helps me though. That's what I was looking for when I started my relationship with, when I started looking for deities. Like, I wanted to learn more about the law of attraction. He's taught me. He's totally revised. I mean, I started working with him in October. He's completely revised how I see the law of attraction in the last 4 months since October. Completely, absolutely. I mean, you look at the turnaround in how I describe things since October, since after October, contrasting to before October, complete turnaround. But it works for me so much better because basically what he'll do is he'll tell me to do it, and then he'll kind of give me the realizations I need to realize how I need to do it. And that's how it works. But it's sort of a refinement.
So he will give you those realizations.
Yes, but I have to actually put in the
you have to put in the work,
the hard work.
God doesn't do it for you.
I can't just be like, well, some gods will help you a lot more. Some are a lot more gentle. He is not.
It just depends. Yeah.
He is not at all. But he wants me to just jump in, and he doesn't really. I'm not saying he's cold, but he doesn't really care for my feelings. Like, I'm scared. Too bad.
Too bad, boy.
Too bad.
Too bad.
On the times that I am more open, and my guides come in or my angels, and I can hear in my head, they usually say things like, "You can do it."
Well,
he's not that nice.
He's not that nice. It depends on the guys you choose.
They don't tell me how either.
Right.
They just say, we're with you. You can do it, and it helps.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, it gives me confidence.
Yeah. He's just sort of like, just do it. But then he gives me like really, really big insights along the way because I had the courage to jump in and do it. So it's rewarded,
It's like you jump and he helps you.
Exactly. He likes confidence. That's what the first thing I knew when I first started working. He likes confidence. He doesn't respect weak people. So right. Go ahead.
I almost said something I probably shouldn't on the phone call.
What? Tell me.
I was going to say, and I don't really either. So yeah.
You don't. I don't either, honestly. I mean.
No. Okay. Good. I don't either.
But he does not.
It's one thing if you try.
He does not respect people. He doesn't. If you're going to beg and plead with him, he's not going to really respect you.
It's funny what you said about trust and faith. I was thinking, I do angel cards for myself a couple times a week.
Right.
And I keep getting the same cards over and over, and they keep saying the same things.
Yeah.
And last night I got another one, trust and faith.
Yeah. That's what it's all about.
So obviously,
we'll talk about that another time.
Anyway, so that's what it's all about, though. So, great discussion.
It was great.
Overtime, but it was a really awesome discussion too.
Sorry, I kind of took a lot of your time.
No, please.
You needed it. It's
great
okay.
Discussion.
It's all right.
So, all right. Well,
thank you so much for being so generous. Time.
No problem. We love doing it.
So, all right. Well, we'll see everyone hopefully next Tuesday.
All right.
Have a great week, everyone. Bye.
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 Bye.